Hi there. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Um,
Good, good morning,
yeah,
Anne.
good morning. You are in the right place. I see we have a question already from Denise asking if she was in the right place to join the event. Yes, you are, Denise. Thank you so much for joining us today. Um, why don't you? I'd love to hear from you all. And why don't you tell me where you're tuning in from and what you're drinking? Because it's noon. You might be eating lunch. It's noon here on the East Coast. Might be a little early if you're on the West Coast in the US. And we have international
Oh,
attendees too. So, hey,
well,
let's say hello. Go ahead, Leslie. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, hey, Gabe.
Oh, we got Gabe. Hey, Gabe. Nice to see you as always. And then Adam. Yeah, today's going to be a great topic. We're going to be talking about all about why leaders need gratitude in the workplace. It's not just a nice to have; it's a must have. So
Absolutely.
Leslie, where are you? Where are you talking from right now?
I'm calling in from cloudy Manhattan right now. But nice. And yesterday was one of our unusually warm days, so it was lovely. But
Ah,
it's not
yeah,
raining, so it's nice.
that is good. I see Denise here is dialing in from Seaview, Washington. Coffee. Ooh, eggnog.
Oh,
She's fancy. I like that.
and very early.
Yes, it is that time of year, but you know what? I like that. Why not? We're in fall. Eggnog can be anytime, right? I am in Alexandria, Virginia, which is right next to DC, just like Leslie, super cloudy. And I am drinking my coffee as usual because that's what I need to fuel my day.
And
Um,
hello, Caitlin from Plano, Texas. And I've been
Caitlin,
there before.
Caitlin, I want to give a huge shout out to Caitlin. She just started her new job. So congrats. That is always so exciting. So thank you for joining us during your new job. um, okay, cool. Well, we'll give you a quick introduction about who we are, what we do, and then we're gonna dive in. So as I mentioned, I'm Anne Genduso. I'm a career coach, and I specialize in working with women leaders so that they can increase their salary, have their voice heard, and really become better leaders themselves. Leslie?
Hi, I'm Leslie Neidick. I do refer to myself as the conflict strategist. I talk about conflict, difficult conversations, and generally improving communication and essentially help you get unstuck from conflict and a little bit of inspiration and motivation in there too.
I love it. And Leslie, of course, you come from a background of mediation, so you know all about conflict.
Yes, I do. And I learned it all in the construction and real estate industry, where I started. And I was basically in the middle of conflict every moment of the day.
Yeah, yeah, I
So I
bet.
I learned by like requirement. I had to figure out how to navigate it.
Trial by fire.
Definitely.
Um, awesome. All right. Well, today we are going to be talking all about gratitude in the workplace and why it's a must have quality for leaders, right? So it's not just for Thanksgiving, although we're coming up on Thanksgiving in America. I think the Canadians already had theirs. And
Yes.
it's not just a nice to have, it's an absolute must have because it's a proven way to transform the workplace for good. And so I'm going to give you a spoiler alert, it's good for business. um,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So I thought we'd start with what are some of the misconceptions about gratitude in the
Yeah.
workplace? So, first, that work is a place to be transactional, that there's no place for softer emotions like gratitude. Essentially, almost that whole thing with like leave your personal self at the door.
Mm.
Frankly, I've heard that for years. I don't know how you leave your personal self at the door. It's coming with me inside the workplace. Also, there are many who believe like you'll be viewed as soft or weak if you express gratitude. Again, another misconception. Very
Yeah,
interesting. We always like throwing some data in to confirm and get a bigger picture. The LinkedIn data shows 96% of men and 94% of women believe a boss who expresses gratitude is more likely to be successful.
yeah.
And very, we won't even get into, very interesting. Obviously, the men and women are basically in agreement in terms of a percentage. A
Yeah, and so
simple,
that's directly against that misconception, right? Like you're not soft. They're actually view you as a better leader.
exactly. Another misconception is that a simple thank you is enough. Um, those hollow expressions of gratitude just don't cut it. And you
Yeah.
need, the words have to be followed by actions to be genuine.
Oh my gosh, you're so right on that one. Yeah, and that's something that I'd love to hear from you all. So, have you ever had a hollow experience with gratitude at work? Um, Leslie, how
And
about
I know,
you?
yeah, so there's one time that really sticks with me when a colleague who I thought of as more like an internal customer in the company sent this like passionate note thanking me, sending it to my manager. And then it was weeks later that my manager came over and said, "Oh, by the way, that was a really nice note you got from so and so." It meant nothing after all those weeks. It was just like, "Oh,
Mm,
yeah, I got a note." Of course, the gratitude from that colleague, who I am still in touch with, it connected us tremendously because it was appreciation for the work I was doing.
yeah, yeah, but you're right. Like the timing is everything, right? And if
Yes.
they just wait too long, then what kind of thanks does that feel like? Um, I'd say for me, my a hollow experience that I've had before is when you get the thank yous, the words, the thank you, thank you, thank you, but then there's no movement beyond that. So, for example, earlier in my career, I had been doing responsibilities that were the level higher than what I was actually my title or my pay reflected, and I had put forth that many times, and I was like, I'm ready for promotion, that sort of thing. Very ambitious at the time. And at the time we kept getting the well, thank you. We really appreciate the work you do. You are so good. You are great. Like all the words that don't necessarily match the actions when it's like, okay, great. So can we talk about this next step or what do we need to do for this next step? And it just never came. And I know I'm not alone in that experience. So that
No,
can be,
you're not.
yeah. So that can be another example where the words were right, everything was expressed well, but the actions didn't really match.
Na- Nadine asks a very interesting question for me to put me on the spot. Um, did I find more gratitude among real estate people or construction?
Mm,
That's interesting. It depended on if they were people I was hiring, like as vendors or service contractors, versus people I was directly working at. I did find a lot of gratitude. A lot of it, sometimes through their company, that
mm,
like taking you out to lunch and not talking business, just really creating a relationship. They were definite. I did find more of that, the relationship building, and that kind of trumped all work, the connection.
yeah. So Adam asked a question. This is a really good one. He asked, "What difference is there, if any, between gratitude and appreciation?" Um, that's a really interesting one because there are a couple of different. From my experience, I see that there are a couple of different ways that people define that. Right.
Yes.
So they may define it as the same. I've read definitions before that talk about gratitude. Gratitude is acknowledging that it's that factors outside of your control are something that you can be thankful for, but it's outside your control versus things that are like within your control. I don't know if I 100% understand or buy that one. But oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. No,
No,
finish.
go for it.
I was going to say, I think though you hit the key point that those two words like gratitude and appreciation, even if we look them up in the dictionary, it's going to be in the eye, like your interpretation.
Yeah. Yes.
Like so many words where I think we can distinguish between them, but remembering that not everyone's going to hold that
Yeah.
separation between the two. I think many merge them, that gratitude and appreciation are kind of in the same
Yeah.
place.
Same bucket. But again, that I think the appreciation also goes with that meaningful, right? Because we talked about before, just saying the word thank you or expressing gratitude there isn't necessarily as meaningful. And when I think of appreciation, I think of it being coming from a deeper place. But that might just be my own personal interpretation.
Sure. So when we're talking about gratitude as a must-have here, and we want to make that clear, that is our opinion. We're talking about the genuine expressions of appreciation backed by the words and the actions.
Yeah, we are for sure. So let's dive in. Sorry, we'll talk about 5 reasons gratitude is a must-have, right? And so we'll dive in with number 1 is it creates a sense of connection and belonging, which right now is particularly important when we're in a world of mainly hybrid work, right? There's remote and hybrid. And we know that people don't feel that sense of belonging and connection. Gallup, John Clifton just came out with some new data, and it was that, he said that 20% of the entire world's population is miserable at work, which is horrible. And another 60% are emotionally detached. And that comes into that belonging, which is just awful. I mean, you spend a majority of your time at work. To imagine that many people across the entire world is just astounding. So gratitude generates what some experts call is social capital. And then we know that, we know from the self-determination theory, which is a theory of motivation, a meta theory of motivation, that the psychological need of belonging and connectedness is one of the 3 tenets that we absolutely have to have in order to feel, to have high levels of well-being. And so we talk about it right there, that belonging is one of them. Gratitude's a great way to encourage that. And Leslie, you just even mentioned that. You said that that lunch, that team lunch, created that sense of belonging for you.
Definitely. What else it does is it builds resilience and mental fortitude in times of adversity and change. We've certainly seen a lot of times of change and adversity, but specifically like when there's layoffs or acquisitions or reorganizations, of which I've been, let's say, lucky enough to be in many. They're those people that I'm still in touch with. If I really look back to what connected us, it was gratitude and appreciation together. And even when bad news had to be delivered, there's a way to still appreciate people and do that extra that just still keeps you connected as humans, even though the work may be difficult to deliver if it's a layoff, if it's a reorganization.
Yeah. And I think, Leslie, that kind of goes into what we were talking about earlier with the social capital, right? If you do this in advance of those times of adversity, in times of layoffs, in times of potential recessions that are coming up, that is where you can build that goodwill. And I think you and I talked about it before. It was like almost like a bank, right? You're putting deposits in a bank with all the appreciation and gratitude for your employees as leaders, so that when those bad things happen, they're much more likely to realize that you're on the same team and that you can be resilient together, even if there are some hard times ahead.
And even just not only saying the words, being
Yeah.
supportive, actually putting in the actions to support someone if you have to lay them off, if there's an
Yeah.
organization, reorganization.
Absolutely. I want to take a brief moment to say hello. There's a couple of folks here. You know, Dina, this is your friend, right, Leslie? Dina?
Yeah,
Yay.
great to
Hello.
see you, Dina, from in Philadelphia.
Okay. Okay. We have Teresa. Hello, Teresa.
Oh,
Lovely to see
great
you.
to see you.
Awesome. We always love just saying hello to people. Um, so if you've joining a little late, we are talking about the 5 reasons that gratitude is a must-have in the workplace. And now we're moving on to number 3. Number 3 is it's good for employees' well-being and overall life satisfaction. And as a bonus, it can make the giver of the gratitude happier too. So we know that there's a direct correlation with toxic workplaces and your health, right? And the U.S. Surgeon General just came out with a report on this. It is now one of their focuses for. It is a priority to change. We know worldwide, the World Health Organization has talked about this before. And if you have a direct correlation with health, the opposite can be true too, right? So if toxic is bad for your health, positive, which includes gratitude and appreciation, excuse me, can be good for your health. So
Absolutely.
yeah, right. So right now we talked before, Gallup's recent data shows that only 24% of workers strongly agree that well-being is cared about by their employer. So they're saying, there's only a little over a quarter, no, less than a quarter of people think that their workplaces, their bosses even care, which is a really, really low number, which is not good. So knowing that gratitude is a simple way to do that and to just demonstrate caring, empathy, appreciation, all of those words. This is something that can actually be used by employees, that can be appreciated and done quickly. Whereas, companies spend tons of money offering wellness programs and mental health support, which is great. I'm so glad people, that they do. However, those aren't actually being taken advantage of when you look at the numbers. A lot of them sit by the wayside, and it's a reactive thing too, right? So we want to get proactive and look at the gratitude as being a proactive thing.
I think that's the differentiator. Proactive versus reactive. We all know we can be, it's nice. We're offered all these benefits, and that is okay and nice. Most don't take advantage of it. Most don't have time for it. It's those like day-to-day things that really matter and have impact versus those other things that are like nice to have, but it's that day-to-day. You need the reminders. You need to like have the interactions. So that's what brings us to number 4. It's a motivational tool that increases engagement and performance. And we need it. And let's note why. In the newest Gallup poll, 21% are engaged at work. And this is Americans within the United States. Only 21% say that they are engaged in their workplace. That just like is mind-boggling that doesn't scare people and leaders that we have to do something different.
Yeah.
And there's other, I know
and
that Anne knows a study and something that was going on at Harvard Medical School.
Yeah, so it's it definitely does. It's backed, right? That increases engagement and performance. So the American Psychological Association researchers found that 93% of employees who reported feeling valued said that they're motivated to do their best at work, right? And so 88% of those reported feeling engaged. So that goes back with that engagement and the performance. So it's a motivational tool. The other study from Harvard and Wharton had come together, and they found that grateful leaders motivated employees to be more productive, right? It's the same thing, showing that they can actually increase productivity, which is always the bottom line too. So that's really important. Want to show a couple of comments here. We have, let's see, Adam mentioned, oh, it's always smart to build up your social capital before you need it. Absolutely. Plus
Yes.
the full ecosystem that you're with. Oh, I love this.
And that adds to like the hollow. Like if you only try to build it up that moment you need, that comes out pretty hollow.
Yes.
That someone's trying to show their appreciation at that moment, like, oh, thank you so much for all that work you did on your last project. Okay, now we have 5 more that need to be done tomorrow. Doesn't work.
Exactly. It's so fun. Yeah, Leslie, it reminds me of like those bosses who, yeah, they only do it when they need something, right? And it's like, oh, you stayed really, really late and, you know, worked really hard. Thank you so much. I'm going to need you to come in on the weekend. It's like,
Exactly.
Um,
Oh, and Denise was asking, I guess that's like a call for a post even of some of this information. Yes.
Yes, and the
We'd be able
replay's
to
available as well, so you'll be able to come back and see this as well, but absolutely. Always love making sure that everyone has the resources they need. So let's get into number 5. Speaking of, the 5th one is it increases retention. That is the like golden nugget that everyone wants right now, right? Because retention is a huge, huge problem. Employees who feel valued by their workplaces, which we know are very few at the moment, but the ones who do stay.
Yes.
And this is an area that, you know, it's affecting everybody, and not even, you know, even HR and leaders themselves are now starting to move at a larger rate than before. So it, you know, it's all the way up the chain. It's not just, you know, entry level or anything like that.
I mean, it's just so direct. If they're wondering what the return on investment is for some of these efforts that don't take a lot of effort, the return on investment's incredible because everyone keeps on asking, retention, how do I increase retention? Let's start with some gratitude.
Yeah.
Yes, it could cost you money, but these are things that are not, we're not talking about high cost efforts here.
Sure.
Most of it's time and simple things that could make it that someone feels appreciated.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So now we want to ask the audience a question. I know you've been chiming in, but now we have a specific question for you. So now that we've talked about the benefits of gratitude, we want to know what's something that you're grateful for at your work, in your workplace. We want to hear some of the like goods so that we can reinforce that and share the wealth.
Yeah. I mean, I'll start with something I'm super grateful for in my work. I love the fact, first of all, I love these lives because I love being able to connect with so many people and hear their stories and help them and support them in their career, whether it's because they're looking for a career transition or they're looking to make a better workplace and build leaders underneath them. So that's just something that's really rewarding, and I'm really, really grateful that I get to do every day.
Yeah.
How about you, Leslie? What are you grateful for?
I'm remembering something from my past that I always passed on as well. I was grateful when I was able to take a vacation and really take a vacation and be
Yes.
cut off where anyone, and I had a manager who would tell everyone, she's out. You got an issue, come to me. And she'd hear them go, but I know Leslie knows the answer faster. Or, you could, better than you can find it. And she'd be like, no. We can either figure it out or figure out that it's not an emergency. So it could wait till she's back. And just having that real break. And that's what I passed on when I was managing teams, that we had to not only use our vacation, but honor it and show appreciation that, hey, you need this block of time to recharge. You deserve it. That's what we're paying you for.
I love that. I love that you were able to pass that on as well.
Yeah.
So let's see. We have Denise, who says that she is grateful for the amazing individuals she gets to connect with every day. That there's something to be said about that coworker or colleague or even vendor, that relatedness that we talked about earlier, that connection. It really makes a difference. It can I'll just tell you that, like, the days that I'm not speaking with anybody at all, which is very, very rare, is I don't feel as fueled by that. And part of that's like being an extrovert versus introvert and type of thing like that. But yeah, thank you, Denise. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yes, and Nadine confirmed the block of recharge time is wise. And I don't give that to myself as often as I gave it to other people, now that I'm primarily working on my own and hiring service people or contractors. But now I've learned, I'm getting better at it, and the block of time is how I've redefined it. Sometimes it's not necessarily 5 days in a row. It just can't happen. But I'll give myself an entire afternoon, and most people will realize that you can't reach me on Monday afternoons, because that's my block of time. I may be working, but I'm blocking out all the interactions because I just need that time to think on my own, and we all need that. So that's my gratitude to showing appreciation to myself.
Yeah, and to the others who allow you to do that too. Because even if you're working for yourself right now, you're creating that boundary, but your clients and vendors and everybody else are respecting that boundary too. So that's something to be grateful
Sure.
for.
Absolutely.
And we have Caitlin. Caitlin is grateful for so much it doesn't even fit on the screen. So she is grateful for diversity, the resources available, the opportunity to learn so much, unlimited PTO. That's a big one. The team she's working with is fantastic. My manager's great. I have so much to learn from her. Oh, congratulations, Caitlin. You can tell that she's excited and she's in a really good spot with a good new team. Coming from a very good team too. She was already in a really great spot. So that's great. I love it. And then Adam's talking about connection again too. Yeah. Brilliant team working with me that meshes skills very well and handles all situations with grace. I'm truly grateful for that.
I love
that so much. Thank you so much for sharing, everybody. So we'd want to know, at the moment, what else would you add? Did you hear anything? We only listed 5 must-haves. They're really big must-haves. But what else would you add? This is your time to share why gratitude is important in the workplace. Or if you have any questions for us, let us know.
We would love to hear. I'm just thinking of the times that I remember another one that kind of popped in my head where my manager just called me over to chat. And then her manager came over, which I believe in the end was pre-planned. And then she just started she made the topic of this conversation all about me, but really not in a way that was hard to receive, because sometimes it's hard to receive all that gratitude. Just talking about projects and pointing out things like when something I did was really effective and how it encouraged the team. So it was this cool impromptu of feedback, annual evaluation almost, but yet she did that frequently. And it was things that I didn't always notice. She'll point something out that I did in a meeting or how I led the meeting. And I was like, oh, wow, I didn't even realize that had an impact. So it wasn't just gratitude and appreciation. It was great constructive feedback.
That goes to the meaning, right? Like that meaningful appreciation. And what your boss did so well was drawing it to the impact, right? And that, just not saying thank you for doing this, but thank you. And here's why this made a difference.
Exactly.
I love it. So, everyone, we're at the time now. Did you find this conversation helpful? If you did, drop your favorite emoji. I don't have my emojis in front of me, but if I did, I'm really loving that avocado. So that would be mine right now. Leslie, what would be your favorite emoji?
I think for today I might pick like a coffee one
Hmm,
because my usual favorite one with the smiley face with the glasses, I'm told like has a different meaning than I thought it meant. So,
I'm
not
going
in
to
a
need to
bad
look
way.
that up. I thought it
Yeah,
just meant
I love
cool.
that one with the sunglasses. But you know
Yeah,
what? I'm kind of wanting a good cup of like cappuccino right now. So I think I would pick that emoji.
good for you. Awesome. And so the discussion doesn't need to stop here. So, we talked a lot about today about why gratitude's important in the workplace. If you want to learn how to effectively express that gratitude as a leader, and just spread the good vibes among your colleagues, DM me and message me. I'll tell you all about a way that we can learn more and put it into practice.
Great. And for me, like if you have workplace conflict, message me if your team needs to get unstuck from conflict. I can share some tips with you and talk more about it. And that's really my goal to help through communication to make conflict good for business.
Awesome.
Oh, so and last but not least, I almost forgot. And I love those emojis Penny just put up there.
Penny
Thank
put
you.
our
You put
favorite
our
one.
favorite
Thank
emojis.
you. That was so nice. Those were ours. That was so
So
sweet.
real stay tuned. We're next month, we're going to have another Career Matters live stream on November 30th at noon Eastern. And we're going to be talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly of performance reviews. I think that's something that we all have a lot of ugly, and we hope to also offer a lot of the good as well. And we hope to see you then.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.